scattering, scat, scattering, a square wave potential. Okay. Now there are a few points which you must understand before I start this discussion. First of all, what is a plane wave? A plane wave means a state with definite energy and momentum. When we are representing a free particle by a plane wave, what we really mean is that the particle has got definite energy and definite momentum. Now this free particle represented by a plane wave with a localized potential. Localized potential means the potential is there, the potential is effective, but that effect is only in the finite region of space. Okay? This localized potential means the potential exists, but the potential has got a finite range. Meaning by that, the potential falls off rapidly as we move from the, meaning by that, the potential falls off rapidly as we move away from the scattering center. Okay, this is another important point. And the third important point is that we consider a continuous beam of projectile, which are the free particles. Okay, falling per unit area, per unit time. Okay, continuous. What is beam? It is a continuous flux of particles falling per unit area, per unit time, and the time of interaction with the potential is small. This we have to be very clear that these are the plane waves, which is the representation of the free particles moving towards the z direction. And then we have a scattering potential, and this potential is effective in only the finite region, and therefore we are talking about localized in space. Okay, that the potential is there, but its effect is only in a finite region of space. Okay, and then if the scattering is taking place, we have an outgoing spherical waves, and then we have also the unscattered wave which move in the forward direction. Okay, then there is an approximation that the detector which we place to detect the scattered particles, these detectors, in comparison to the range of the potential, the distance between the detector and the scattering center is almost, you may treat it to be at infinite distance in comparison to the range of the potential. Therefore, that is why we are talking about localized potential. Therefore, in complete scattering theory that we discuss or we will discuss, always we will consider that the potential has got a finite range. Okay, and today we are going to consider a potential. That potential has got a shape of a square well. Okay, and then we are going to obtain the expression for the scattering cross section. Okay, I am changing the slide. Now we know that for a square well potential, VR is minus V naught if R is less than L. L is the width of the potential. And is 0 if R is greater than or equal. Okay, the potential vanishes at the surface and beyond that. Okay, now we are assuming that the scattering is time independent, and we are going to use time independent Schrodinger equation, minus h square by twice mu del square psi r plus VR psi r is equal to E psi r. And this implies that we have done it so many times, last 2-3 turns. Del squared psi r plus twice m by h cross square E minus VR psi r. This is equal to 0. Now the important catch is that for r less than L, VR is minus V naught, such that I can write del squared psi r plus twice mu by h cross square. This will become E plus V naught psi r. Okay, where V naught is the depth of the potential. Okay, and minus sign represents that the potential is attractive. Now we write this expression in spherical polar coordinates, and when I write in spherical polar coordinates, we have seen that del square is 1 by r square delta by delta r square del by del r plus 1 over r square sine theta del over delta theta sine theta del over del theta plus r square sine square theta del square by delta phi square, and psi will become function of r theta and phi. Therefore, I am going to use this del square in spherical polar coordinates in this expression, such that this expression will now read as one over r square del by del r square delta psi r theta phi by del r plus 1 over r square sine theta delta by delta theta sine theta delta psi by delta theta plus 1 over r square sine square theta delta psi r theta phi by delta phi square plus twice mu e plus v naught by h cross square psi r theta phi. This is equal to 0. Now we have also seen in the class that L square we can write it as minus h square 1 over r square sine theta delta by delta theta sine theta over del theta plus 1 over r square sine square theta del square by delta phi square, and L square when operating on YLM theta phi, this gives us LL plus 1 H cross square YLM. Okay? Therefore, what we are going to do? We are going to write psi r theta phi as R NLR YLM theta phi. And when we do that, when we make the use of separation of variables, writing psi as r and y, we have here only radial dependence, while here we have theta and phi dependence. This expression we have seen that can be written as y over r square dr by dr r square dr by dr minus LL plus 1 r y theta phi by r square plus twice mu by h cross square e plus v naught r y theta phi. This is equal to 0. And then what we can do, we can divide this equation by,
सर
yes,
सर एक्सक्यूज मी, तो ये जो वाई एल एम थीटा फाई हम हमेशा लिखते हैं इसमें एल स्मॉल है ना सर ये?
हाँ एल भी स्मॉल है और एम भी स्मॉल है, और एम इज फंक्शन ऑफ, एम इज एल डिपेंडेंट and this goes from minus L to plus L. That is why it takes 2L plus 1 values. It is something like when I wrote capital J square, the eigenvalues were JJ plus 1 H cross square. This is the operator. Here L square is an operator, while these small L or small j, they are
angular momentum states.
They are angular momentum. They are the eigenvalues. They are the numbers. L equal to 0 represents S state. L equal to 1 represents P state. L equal to 2 represents D state. Okay. Now, if I tell you we are talking about S wave scattering. Now, what do we, let's change the slide. If I say that we are talking about S wave scattering, S wave scattering simply means that we are talking about low energy scattering, and only L equal to 0 partial wave we are going to consider. Okay, then the important thing which I had told you, that cross section is proportional to sine square delta L, and then I told you that this has contribution like A sine square delta 0 plus B sine square delta 1 or C sine square delta 2, etc. I told you that the maximum contribution will come from S wave, then P wave, then D wave, etc. Now, if, for example, D wave is going to dominate over S wave, then that means we cannot use partial wave analysis. Simply it means that this is a wrong prescription when we are finding out that higher partial waves have got more contribution than the lower partial waves. Okay, therefore small j's, these are numbers, these are eigenvalues. Small l, these are numbers. L equal to 0, L equal to 1, L equal to 2. The important point is we still stick to L into L plus 1, because it's difficult that okay, this will be a expression for S wave, this will be expression for P wave, this will be expression for D wave. Then we will have so many expressions. Okay, instead of that, we develop a general formalism keeping small n in the expression, and then when we finally obtain the expression, whether it is a scattering cross section or amplitude, then there we interpret that what will happen if the energy of the incident particle is very, very low, if the incident particle is in the intermediate energy region. The important point is that means when we are not supposed to get higher partial waves, this simply implies that the formalism which we have developed is not valid for high energy scattering of particles. This is valid for very low energy and low energy of the incident particles. Now, the question arises, what is low energy? Now, this low energy has got a very important concept. Now, if you talk about 50 MeV for an electron and 50 MeV for a proton. Now, what is the rest mass of an electron? 0.5 MeV. Now, that means the kinetic energy of the electron is how much? 49.5 MeV, because total energy is the rest mass energy plus kinetic energy of the particle. And if the energy is 50 MeV, then that means 50 MeV for electron, where the rest mass is 0.5 MeV, the electron must be treated as highly relativistic particles, because its kinetic energy is much larger than the rest mass energy. But if I talk about 50 MeV proton, then 50 MeV proton means proton's rest mass is 938 MeV, and proton's kinetic energy which we are imparting to it is 50 MeV. Now, in comparison to the rest mass, this kinetic energy is almost 50 MeV of kinetic energy of incident proton to the total rest mass energy of the proton. is almost negligible. Even if we talk about 100 MeV of proton, in comparison to 938 MeV, 100 MeV is a very small number. Therefore, this 50 MeV or 100 MeV for a proton beam, you can always treat it to be non-relativistic. But if you have got 50 MeV of electron beam, then it will be highly relativistic. And if it becomes highly relativistic or relativistic, then you cannot apply this formalism. This formalism will be valid when the kinetic energy of the projectile is small. It's small in comparison to the rest mass energy. Otherwise, the particle will become relativistic. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if you divide that expression by y, what you are going to get is 1 by r square d by dr, r square dr by dr minus L into L plus 1 by r square r plus twice mu by h cross square E plus V naught r. This is equal to 0. That means you will get radial equation in R, and you are supposed to solve this expression. Now, I'm going to use a few variables. One is, we know that my k square always here is twice me by h cross square. Then since see V naught is the depth of the potential, and depth of the potential is a constant quantity, therefore I am introducing another quantity k prime square. This is equal to twice mu by h cross square E plus V naught. माइक ऑफ कर दो प्लीज, जिसका भी ऑन है. ट्वाइस म्यू बाई एच क्रॉस स्क्वायर ई प्लस ट्वाइस म्यू V naught by h cross square. This is nothing but k square plus twice mu V naught by h cross square. And we introduce UR is equal to RUR, the yesterday's prescription, such that DUR by DR is R plus R dr by dr, and d square u by dr square, this is equal to 2 dr by dr plus r d square r by dr, such that if I put it back to this equation, let us call this equation as equation 1, these as equation number 2, and these as equation number 3. That means using 2 and 3 in equation number 1, what we are going to get is 1 by r d square ur by dr square plus k prime square minus l plus 1 by r square u by r. This is equal to 0. And simply that means this r will go away. This r will go away. You will have d square ur by dr square plus k prime square minus ll plus 1 by r square ur. This is equal to 0. Let us call this as equation number 4. Now the important catch is, we are discussing low energy scattering, where only lower partial waves are going to contribute, and the most dominant would be the S wave for L equal to 0. Okay, therefore we are going to solve this expression first for S wave scattering, that means for L equal to 0 partial wave contribution. Okay, therefore if I write this expression for L equal to 0, That means we are considering S wave scattering. Then equation number 4 can be written as d square u by dr square plus k prime square u. This is function of r. This is equal to 0 for r less than L, where the potential is minus V naught. And this expression is d square u by dr square plus k square ur. This is equal to 0 for r greater than or equal to L, because V naught on or outside the well is how much? Is 0. And that is why you notice I wrote k prime square as k square plus twice mu V naught by h cross square. Now outside the well, this is 0. Therefore, my k prime square is the same as k square. Therefore, for r less than L, we have this second order differential equation, while for r greater than or equal to L, we have equation number 6 as the differential equation. Now the important point is, we are talking about a position r equal to L, where we know that quantum mechanics demands that at the boundaries the wave function should be equal, and also the derivative should be equal. Okay, at the boundary, if you want to have a solution, then the wave function and the boundary must be equal, and also the derivative should be equal. Now the solution for r less than L, you can see that one of the possible solution is a sine k prime r. And yesterday we have obtained the solution for this, for r greater than L, where V naught is equal to 0. Can you tell me what was solution? Ur was equal to b sine kr plus delta 0. Okay, say this is I am calling as equation 7, and this I am calling it as equation number 8. This I have written just keeping yesterday's expression in mind. Okay, now what I am telling you, that at the boundary, that is at r equal to L, the wave function should be the same and its derivative also should be the same. Meaning by that, at r equal to L, a sine k prime L must be equal to b sine kl plus delta 0. Okay, and the derivative, that means k prime a cos k prime a cos k prime L must be equal to kb cos kl plus delta. Okay, let us call it by the name 9a and 9b. Okay, we have a sine k prime L is b sine kl plus delta 0, and k prime a cos k prime L is kb cos kl plus delta 0. If I divide 9a by 9b, then what I am going to get is the following. 9a is being divided by 9b. This will give us 1 by k prime tan k prime L. This is equal to 1 by k tan kl plus delta 0. Okay? Or this implies that tan kl plus delta 0 is equal to k by k prime tan k prime L. Or if I divide and multiply by L, the width of the well, I'm sorry that just I'm realizing that I'm using L as the width of the well. In your notes, you can make the width as A or B, whatever you like, because generally we represent L hat as the angular momentum operator. Okay. But we understand when I am not putting hat, that means I am talking about the width of the well. Okay. Now, when we talk about very low energy, then when the energy is low, when the energy is very low, corresponding to S wave scattering, okay, then that means K contains energy and that quantity is low, then that means my KL is a very small quantity. And this would imply that KL by K prime L, this will be quantity that will be much smaller than 1. Okay? Therefore, the important point. Yes?
सर एक बार फिर से बता देना सर ये how can we small quantity
because what is K? K is twice mu, take K contains twice mu E by H cross square. Now, if the energy of the particle is very low, okay, if the energy of the particle is low, such that we are considering only the contribution from S wave, then that means this quantity KL upon K prime L will be a very, very small quantity. This will be much, the denominator is larger than the numerator because the denominator also contains A plus some factor of V naught, where V naught is the depth of the potential. Therefore, basically what I am trying to tell you that this is E upon something like E plus V naught. Notice, what is K? K is related to E. What is K prime? K prime is related to E plus V naught. Okay? And
Okay,
then
sir.
we say V naught equals to 0 at R equals to L. We say R is greater than L.
R is?
We talk about R when R is greater than L, V naught is 0.
Yes. But here what I am talking about? I am talking about at the boundary where the wave function should be continuous. Okay? Where the wave function as well as its first derivative must be equal. Okay? See, otherwise, how could I get these two expressions 9a and 9b unless we say that the wave function at the boundaries and its derivative at the boundaries should be equal. This is the most important condition in quantum mechanics, that if you are seeking a solution for such type of potentials which changes at the boundary. Similarly, if you just give me 1 minute, I will try to convince you. Suppose I am talking about a potential barrier. Okay. Now, what we have, this region, and this region. What condition we impose at the boundaries? We say that if the solution is a valid solution, then wave function in the region 1 must be equal to wave function in the region 2, and the derivative at the region 1 must be equal to the derivative in the region 2, and wave function in the region 2 must be equal to the wave function in the region 3, and wave function derivative must be equal to the derivative at. Can you recall this
Yes, sir.
fact? That
Yes, sir.
this is an important concept, that in quantum mechanics the wave function has to be continuous. That means that is why when you draw it, you draw something like this. You don't take directly equal to 0. You put a slope that gradually the wave function is vanishing. This is not an abrupt thing. Okay? In quantum mechanics, we have to be very careful that only those wave functions are acceptable which are continuous. Okay? If it will not be continuous, then we cannot take derivative of that. While we are using Schrodinger equation, where we need second order derivative. Therefore, here the first order derivative must also be continuous, because the wave function Schrodinger equation, I was talking about the wave function at the boundaries, and its derivative must be continuous. Why we required both the wave function and its derivative to be continuous? Because we have to differentiate even the first derivative to obtain second derivative, which we use in the time independent Schrodinger equation. Okay, this is the boundary condition which is important to us, that the wave function should be continuous, and that is why I was doing that. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now the important catch is that we are writing tan KL plus delta 0 is equal to KL by K prime L tan K prime. Okay. Now what I am telling you, that this guy is much smaller. Okay. The energy of the incident particle is much smaller. Therefore, we know that tan theta in this limit becomes equal to theta, and that means
delta naught.
that means I can write KL plus delta naught is equal to KL by K prime L tan K prime L, and that means delta naught as KL tan K prime L by K prime L minus 1. Now you may ask the question, why I introduced L over here while K by K prime was more than sufficient? The answer to that is, why I did that? This is because, see, this is a dimensionless quantity. Okay? We are taking tangent of some angle. This should be dimensionless. This is a dimensionless quantity. Now, this K has got the dimension of energy. That means if this is a dimensionless quantity, then here the quantity should also appear as a dimensionless quantity to any physicist. And when the numerator is dimensionless, the denominator also should look dimensionless. Such then only you can subtract 1 from there. That is why I introduce L in the numerator as well as in the denominator. Just to directly tell you that 200, let me just write 200 MeV Fermi, this is equal to 1. That means you can write 1 MeV as 1 over 200 Fermi. That means this is Fermi inverse upon 200, and that means this Fermi is how much? This Fermi is 10 power minus 15 meters. Then that means this is also proportional to meter inverse. Therefore, MeV in or energy has got a dimension inverse of the distance. Okay, and that is why this is in MeV, this is in MeV inverse. This will make this quantity dimensionless. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now once we have delta 0, then we know that sigma t is 4 pi by k square sine square delta 0. Okay, and that means it will be equal to 4 pi by k square. The angle is small, therefore this will be delta 0 square, and delta 0 is here. This will become KL tan K prime L by K prime L minus 1 square. Or simply, if I take this K square outside, I can write 4 pi L square is equal to tan K prime L by K prime L minus 1 square. And you notice this is a dimensionless quantity. This is a dimensionless quantity. And what is L square? Distance has got a dimension of centimeter, and therefore this will become centimeter square. And you know that cross sections are measured in the units of centimeter square. Therefore, the important point is that the total scattering cross section for is a particle getting scattered from a square well potential can be written as something like this. Okay, and what will be the equation number? Something like 10. Okay, this is 10. Now you know that we have K prime L, and I am going to talk about this fellow K prime L. We have K, we have K prime, and you can see that I can write K prime L as equal to square root KL whole square plus twice mu V naught by H cross square L square. Okay, and since we are considering KL to be very, very small for S wave scattering, that means I can use, or I can write K prime L as simply twice mu V naught by H cross square L square. Now in this square root, what are the quantities which are variables? L is the width of the potential, and width of the potential is an independent quantity, because once you have the potential, whatever be that square well potential, the depth of the potential will be fixed, whether it is 30 MeV, 20 MeV, 10 MeV, 40 MeV, the depth of the potential will be fixed. The width of the potential, L, that will be fixed. The reduced mass, the mass of the system will be fixed. This is related to Planck's constant, that will be fixed. That means this K prime L is a fixed quantity. Physically, what does that means? Physically, if K prime L is a fixed quantity, then this implies that for S wave scattering or for S wave cross section, or in general I should write S wave cross section is independent of energy. S wave cross section is independent of energy.
Sir, this is particularly for the harmonic spiral potential.
This will be true for only a square well potential. Only a square well potential. Yesterday we have discussed hard sphere scattering, where the potential was, we were unable to penetrate, therefore this value was infinite and outside the value was 0. But today we are considering a potential which is attractive and which has got a finite range, and the depth of the potential is say 10 MeV or 20 MeV or 30 MeV, whatever it is. But you have to be very careful that the depth of the potential, when you are saying that KL square is negligible, therefore your depth of the potential and energy of the particle, they are related, and that is why you are making this approximation. Therefore this is only true, this prescription is only true for a square well potential. Similarly, you can do other examples by considering many other potentials which are given in Zetterle's book. But in your syllabus, you have hard sphere scattering. In your syllabus, you have scattering from square well potential. Now, the topic which we are left with in this scattering is one, Lippmann-Schwenger equation, then Green function. Therefore, the topic which we are left with, one is Lippmann-Schwenger equation. Number two, Green function. Number three, Born approximation and its application. And number four is global scattering. Now, this will take one lecture. Green function will take one lecture. In fact, these two together will be completed in 2 lectures. Then Born approximation and its application. This is a very important concept. And application means, again we will consider the different problems where Born approximation may be applied. As you can see, the name is Born approximation. That means again, its application will be limited to certain energy. And then we have Glauber scattering. This is high energy scattering. Therefore, Born approximation will take us 3 lectures, and Glauber scattering will take, this I will do qualitatively. Glauber scattering will take 1 lecture. Therefore, we are left, we need 6 lectures, and that means next week from Monday to Thursday, and that Sunday that will come in that week. That means 5 lectures here, and then the consecutive Monday after that. We should be able to finish off the syllabus in these 6 lectures. But at the same time, you are also supposed to appear in the sessional exam and the main exam. Now, you suggest me the model. What model you would like to, that will be more acceptable to you. See here, since I have to take these assignments or main exam, and I have to also consider all the test and the final paper. Now tell me what mode will be convenient to you. What is my plan is that after these 6 lectures, say around 15th of June, whether it is Unit 1 and Unit 2, and then say around 30th of June, Unit 3 and Unit 4, that I take Viva 1-to-1, okay, around 15th June, and then again repeating it for the same person around 30th of June. And the first Viva will be from Unit 1 and 2, and the second Viva will be from Unit 3 and 4. Whether this model is acceptable to you or not? Mahvash, Mansoor, Mahak, Riaz, Momina.
सर असाइनमेंट प्लस वाइवा सर ठीक रहेगा सर.
यस सर.
असाइनमेंट में सारे लोग कॉपी कर लेते हैं. वो जो 2-3 लोग मेहनत करते हैं, बाकी ये लोग सब कॉपी कर लेते हैं. असाइनमेंट
पहचान लेंगे ना सर, आप जो कॉपी करेगा तो. सर वो तो आप पहचान लेंगे ना जो कॉपी करेगा.
नहीं, ऐसे हमें, मतलब हम अल्लाह मियां नहीं है भाई कि हम ऐसे पहचान लें कि ये आदमी से आदमी ने कॉपी कर लिया. क्योंकि देखो बेसिकली क्या है कि असाइनमेंट में हम अगर देते हैं प्रॉब्लम्स, तो आपको किताब की प्रॉब्लम आएगी, है ना. आप बोलेंगे कि सर किताब नहीं है, क्योंकि मैं वो डायरेक्टली तो दूंगा नहीं जो क्लास में मैंने, क्योंकि मैंने क्लास में जितना किया है 100% स्टेप्स किए, और अभी भी जो 6 लेक्चर्स में बोल रहा हूं मैं 100% वो स्टेप्स क्लास में करूंगा, है ना. ग्लोबल क्वालिटेटिव करूंगा तो ये मालूम है मुझे कि ग्लोबल आपके स्टेज में कोई भी आदमी उसको डिटेल नहीं कर सकता, है ना. बिकॉज डीइंग इन डिटेल वुड रिक्वायर 3 to 4 लेक्चर्स, और वो बहुत कंफ्यूजन फैलाता है ग्लोबल मॉडल. वो ब्लैक बोर्ड होता तो हम लोग आसानी से उसको डिस्कस कर सकते. इसमें क्या हर्ज है कि अगर हम 5-5 मिनट का या 5-6 मिनट का हम वाइवा हर आदमी का ले. और इसलिए मैं 2 बार कह रहा हूं, एक जो 15 जून के आसपास हो, ताकि मैं 10-10 या समझिए कि 15-15 लोगों का मैं लूं. I will divide it into 3 groups so that I would take on 15th, 16th and 17th, and then on say 30th, 1st or 2nd. एक आप देखिए इससे फायदा क्या होगा कि एक आपको मार्क्स भूल जाइए, है ना. ये जो प्रेजेंट सर्कमस्टांसेस हैं इसमें मार्क्स के बजाय अंडरस्टैंडिंग ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट.